Today I want to go into a subject about having to get rid of a model train set that's been left behind after a loved one in the family or friend has passed. And your chore is to make this thing go away. What do you do with it? Well, I'm here to answer some questions and hopefully give you some guidance with what to do with this estate train layout. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. I'm a YouTuber, I guess is what they call us. I've been doing this for about 3.5 years. Put out 183 videos on how-tos, how to fix locomotives, how to do this, how to do that in the trains. I get asked a lot on how do I sell or what can I do with these locomotives? How do I value my father's train collection that he left to me? So I decided to make a video on it, so that way I can just send people to this video, they can eyeball it, and get the answers that they need to their questions. It's a hard thing to do to liquidate a model train collection from someone close to you that's passed, because whether you were into model railroading or not, it represents the person that's no longer with you anymore. So you feel kind of guilty getting rid of it. A lot of times it might be a son or a daughter that has to get the house ready for sale, and this large collection has to go. Or it could just be a very small collection that's been hiding out in a closet, but it's got sentimental value one way or another. But you've still decided you have to do something with it. A lot of us want to respect and honor the memories of the people that owned these trains or this large collection of trains. So it's kind of I don't know, you can't really tell somebody how to heal. That process will just come on its own. As they always say, time heals all wounds. So now you have to decide what to do with this small collection. Now, my first thing that I always like to answer is, maybe you considered getting into the hobby yourself. If you've already got the trains and the track and or a layout, it is a fun hobby. You can learn a lot of stuff about it. So I always try to get people just to stay in the hobby. What's it going to take to keep you in it? Some people just don't want to stay in it. So let's go through the other options that we have out there. You could always give them to other family members or close friends of the family that may show interest or be interested in model railroading. You can donate the collection to a local model train club or train museum. These always can be found by just Googling in your area, asking about if there's any train museums, model train clubs, and how far away are they. Sometimes you can get in touch with them by email. Some have phone numbers. Another option is to sell them through various means, but I just call it selling them to strangers, people that you don't know, but you gotta get rid of the collection. You need the space. They have to go. We'll talk about the different ways that you can go about selling them. One of the things is, if you're not quite ready to sell it, just go ahead and store it for a few years. If you've got the space to do it, break it down, pack it away correctly. Don't put it in a hot shed or in a hot garage or in an attic or in a wet basement. They got to be kind of climate controlled. Maybe in the future you'll have a family member, a young nephew or niece that might come up and show some interest in trains, then you can give it to them. And unfortunately, what happens to a lot of model train collections is they just get tossed out or given to a donation center. So we'll talk about those options here as well. So if you just want to give the train collection away, then it's really pretty straightforward. Just find somebody to give it to and out the door it goes. But a lot of people seem to think that a train collection equals some sort of windfall of found money, that they're going to just be rich. And there's instances of that, but that's not the normal. If a person has an extensive collection with a lot of really high-end things in it, they're aware of it, and there'll probably be a will stating the specifics about these locomotives and what they want to have done with them. Not many guys will have $1 million collection and then just die and it just sits there. It might happen once. I mean, I don't know everything, but that's rare. But there might be some jewels inside this collection that you're unaware of. And the only way to find out about these jewels, these rare little items, is to do the research. If you want to do a lot of work, you can sell the train collection and make some good money. If you're not interested in doing the work, or it's just too much to you, then just look for a train broker. Just Google in train brokers near me, and it'll pop up with the 4 or 5 biggest ones, regionally, locally. But remember, these train brokers are going to buy at pennies on the dollar. They're a one-stop shop. They're going to come in, they'll look at the collection, they'll offer you money, but remember, they have to take it all out. They have to box it, they have to truck it to their main warehouse, sort it, figure out what's good, what's not. They got to take the layout, disassemble the layout, depending upon what you've agreed upon. So there is an amazing amount of labor involved in selling off a large collection if you don't want to do it. And that's why these guys will bid them at pennies on the dollar. If you want to do the footwork and make the big money, this is what you're going to have to do. It's important that you know what the collection is. What's the gauge? Who's the manufacturers? And the condition or quality of the items. There's a place out there called the Train Collectors Association, or TCA. They have come up with a guide to define the condition of the individual used items in this train collection. I got a copy of it right here. I'm going to bring it up on the screen right now. And just remember that condition and grading standards are subjective and are intended to act as a guide. It is important and logical that wishful thinking not be allowed to influence the choice of the grade. So don't sit there and pretend that you've got a C10, which is a perfectly unopened box from 1947 that looks like the day it was when it came off the assembly line. You can't just assume that everything's like that and you're going to get top dollar for it. A lot of items are played with, they're used. If they don't have the original boxing, which is in excellent condition, the original paperwork, all these things tend to bring down the price of the item for resale. When you've got the entire layout, a lot of layouts are big. They're custom built for the space that they're in, and people don't get a lot of money when they resell the layout itself. A lot of the money, the time, and the modeling efforts go into the layout. And it is kind of a shame that you can't get your return on investment on this thing, but this is a hobby. People don't do it as a business model to make money. The track usually cannot be reused because it's nailed down, glued down, it's ballasted, it's painted. So the track, the switches, the electronics, the wiring, none of that stuff has a very high resale value to it. The layouts themselves are custom built into a specific location in a house. Other people's houses don't have this type of room or locations available in that particular shape, which makes these larger custom layouts difficult to resell. Now, if you've got just a small 4x8 layout or a 4x6, a smaller N-gauge one, 4 legs, it's on a simple table, those type of layouts will be worth more money because the potential purchaser could probably have enough room for something of that size. Plastic buildings normally do not sell for what the kits run. The kits are very common at around $50 to $60 for a kit. When they're assembled, painted, a lot of time and effort goes into them, but I've seen where buildings really only sell for maybe $5 to $10 for each individual one. If you sell them as a lot, you'll have 30 to 50 buildings in there. You might get $200 for them. Something about the buildings. Trees don't typically sell well. The big selling items are the locomotives and the cars, the rolling stock. And of course, if they are true to scale cars on the layouts. Items like books, magazines, magazine collections. If somebody's been a subscriber to Model Railroad magazine and they've got every year since it came out, typically those don't sell well. They're heavy, and all that information that's in them is available online right now for free. If you've got DVDs or VHS tapes showing rail fanning or any types of tips and tricks, usually they do not sell or they're not worth listing because nobody wants to buy them because information is now free out on the internet. Model railroading tools and parts, open bags of modeling scenery stuff, parts that have been collected over the years, wheels, couplers, body parts, special tools. Usually these things don't go for very much money when they're sold, or they don't sell at all because people don't know what's in them. You've got bins and bins and bins of pieces, but only a very well-educated repair guy would know what these are, what they fit, just by looking at them. Don't expect, if there's a huge wall of repair parts, only a very specific person that may happen to show up to your sale or you finds your advertising would want to purchase these particular parts. If you've decided to sell these on your own, or at least do some research to find out what they're worth, this is how I go about figuring out what it is and how much it's worth. So I got a couple examples here. We're going to start off with this little fella right here. Now, what do we know about it? On the bottom of it, if you look, it does say that it's made by Lionel. A lot of locomotives will have something on the bottom of them. So we're going to use eBay because eBay is like a search engine all on its own. So up here in the search bar, we're going to type in Lionel as a 2025 locomotive comes up. And then here it brings up just a whole bunch of information. A little different view here. Here it brings up our information. Looks like it's a 1952 post-war. You see that the prices are varying from $49.95. You know, what people ask and what they get are two different things. Once we figured out what it is, you know, by the majority of them saying, well, it's this, it's this. Scroll down here to this item that says sold items or completed items. Click on it. And then what it does is it brings up the items that have been sold that match this description of Lionel 2025 locomotive. Now, I don't know why it's got to have all this extra stuff in it, but see right here's one sold for $125.50. Now here's one, the whole engine and all the cars and everything sold for $35. Here's one, $70. Here's $75. So I just go through it and I just get the general what they're going for. This one's $80, 42. Well, then let's make it, if you really want to sell it for less than anybody else over here is selling them for. Sort it by price plus shipping lowest first. Let's go to buy it nows, because that gives you a better idea of what people are willing to sell it for. These are all parts. This one isn't even what we're asking for. We're in a 2025. So right there, the first one we come up to, $50, buy it now, $20 in shipping, which is a little excessive. That's going to tell you that this little locomotive right here, you can get $50 for it with a tender. What if it's a car and it looks like this and you're trying to figure out what it is? Go up into the search bar once again. So we're going to type in what this thing is. It's an AT, an SF 80680. And if you don't even know what it is, what kind of car is this, just you got that for sure. Look what shows up. It tells you that it's a Tyco 40-foot stock car, or yeah, for hauling cattle in. So we know this matches up with all the numbers, all the colors. That's definitely what I found. Everybody's asking lots of prices for them. Let's go to sold and completed items. It's got one, it's sold for $5.20. And then it just gives you a bunch of junk. But so that's interesting. Kind of gives you an idea on what this is. That's the best way to find out real pricing. Now, if you've got these things right here that come out, this is volume 2, comes out with pricing in it. These are so out of date right now because they can't keep up with the market demand and the changing that takes place with their pricing, because it's almost like seasonal. It goes up and down. The eBay is the absolute best place to find this stuff for your pricing for today, for the last 90 days, or the last 4 guys pay for it. This is how I do it. This is how you get spot on if you're just trying to get the average price for your average item. If you've got a like mint brand new C10, those don't come up very much. So it's difficult to figure out what the pricing would be on those. Now, doing this process takes a very long time to look up each individual item like that, but you've got to know what you've got before you try to sell it, or you're going to get taken. You know, if you want to spend the time, you're going to make the bigger dime. If you piece it out, piece by piece, on eBay or, you know, Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, you're going to make more money, but it's a lot more work. If you sell it as a collection or in lots of 10 cars or 20 cars, you'll make less money, but you'll move it faster with less work. If you sell it locally through Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, put a note up at the grocery store on the community bulletin board, it's going to be easier because you don't have to bother with packaging it. Also, you get to keep all the money. With eBay, they say they take 13.5%. Well, it ends up being more when it's all said and done to be like around 30% of everything. You sell something for $100, you'll be happy to be coming away with $70, $75 after shipping, after all the hoopla that goes through with it. You have to set up, of course, have an eBay account in order to sell on eBay. You have to have a Facebook profile in order to sell on Facebook Marketplace. You got to do, you know, with Craigslist, you just have to have a computer and a Craigslist account, which is free. Not a lot of people are using Craigslist anymore. Marketplace seems to be the way it really goes. But Marketplace is full of scammers, and same with Craigslist. They like to waste your time. They like to fart around with you. It's like it's a hobby. It's a pastime they do, is just to sit and play games with you on there. So you have to deal with that hassle. If you're with eBay, they've pretty much taken all the hassling out of it if you go ahead and do a buy it now. If you do an auction, people will back out of the auctions. They'll win it, then they won't show up and pay for it. Lots of hassles that take place out there. Another item that you can do is see if there's a local hobby shop, a brick and mortar. There's not very many of those around anymore, but the ones that are, they might buy a collection from you, or they might want to cherry pick it and take the good stuff. It's just another option to use on who you might be able to sell it to. If there's train shows in your area, of course you have to Google it, do some research to try to find these. You can purchase a train table for whatever the event is selling them for. $20 a table, could be $100 a table, who knows. Bring all your stuff down there, make sure it's marked, and then you might be able to sell them at a train show. But the downside about train shows is that typically train connoisseurs, people that go to train shows a lot, go there and they do expect less than garage sale pricing for them. They want them to be very cheap, or they're not going to have, they don't want it. The reason that the train shows are even around is because people that buy up estate collections cherry pick them. What they don't want, they'll take to the train show and dump. And a lot of times that helps them cover their cost of purchasing the part of the collection that they've bought already. If you are going to try to sell them electronically, make sure you take good pictures of the things. Take a picture of the front of the car, the side of the car. You can do an angle on like this, do a front, do an angle like this, do a side. I can't get my hand to wrap around. Do an angle on the back, take a top-down shot, take a bottom shot. You know, lots of pictures, and also make a good description of it. If it runs, tell them. If it doesn't run, don't say untested. Just say, it don't run. I tried it, it doesn't run. Everybody likes to use untested, which in code means doesn't really run. It doesn't matter what scale you're selling, but just at least know what it is you're selling. If it's an S gauge, if it's an HO gauge, 3-rail O, 2-rail O, N gauge, Lionel, Marks, at least know that. Do a little research. You're going to make a lot more money. If you just want to dump it, the least amount of effort will give you the least amount of return on the item. There's auction houses out there that'll sell model trains, specializing in model trains. Of course, you have to ship it to them. They're going to take a big cut out of it because they're doing the majority of the legwork. I've been selling trains now for probably 3 years. And it's involved. It takes a lot of time to take the pictures, get it onto the eBay, do the listings, wait, package it up properly. Don't just throw it in some bag and throw it in the mail. You got to put it in a box with packaging, nice packaging, because you don't want it to get damaged. If it shows up and it's damaged, the buyer says, hey, this isn't what I've seen in the pictures. Then eBay will give them back all their money, but doesn't really make them send the locomotive back or the item that you sold to them. So you got to make sure to cover your own butt on this. If you know that you do happen to have a rare item from all of the legwork that you've done, you've found that you've got a cherry. It's probably better to do an auction on it than it would be to do a buy it now or just list it as a selling. Because you might get 2 or 3 guys in your neck of the woods that really want it, or even across the country if it's on eBay, and they're going to fight for it. I've seen a specific Tyco version sell for hundreds of dollars more than another almost what looks to be the identical kind of version. So that's why it's important to do the research and find out what you've got. If you've got anything that's rare, and then list it, you'll make more money that way. I guess the more I keep saying it, the more effort you put in, the more return you're going to get out of it. Even simply Facebook groups. You can research the groups. If you know what scale you have, type it in, American Flyer groups, and then it'll tell you American Flyer buy or sell groups that you can join. Lots of things in there for selling stuff on or getting information from. But be careful if you sell it through Facebook, because people like to scam you. And if you're not used to selling on this type of a platform or any computer-based platform, then they're going to get you with the scams. So always end up trying to meet the person face-to-face with cash in hand. Cash is always king. It's the best way to make sure that you're not going to get taken by trying to sell off some of your stuff here. I hope I gave you some ideas, some tips and tricks to figure out what you have, how to sell it, where to go, and to deal with this family crisis. that was put upon you, perhaps. I've waited a long time to make this video to make sure I was aware of all the different options that are out there. It could be a little bit of an uphill battle if you want to make the most amount of money. If you want to just dump it, call a train broker, pennies on the dollar, and they'll get it out of there for you. So there's options from one end of the spectrum to the other. Thanks for hanging out and watching. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. I think if you're watching this video, you might not be the type of person that watches train videos all the time. My loyal followers that are out there, it's good to see if you guys stopped in on this one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.